In this video, I'm going to be talking about the tune Hideaway as played by Eric Clapton on the Blues Breakers record that he did with John Mayall. This is a blues classic. I suppose it's a must-know track if you're interested in blues guitar. It's become a bit of a blues standard. Now, obviously I can't play like Eric Clapton. Sorry to break that to everybody. So what I'm going to do, I thought rather than spend a month practicing this and then end up doing a serviceable but ultimately poor Clapton impersonation, what I'm going to do is play through a bit of it for you now. I'll kind of do some things my own way probably, and then I'm going to talk you through the track. I'll show you how to play the kind of signature bits, the kind of riffs and melodies, and then we'll go through some of the highlights of Clapton's soloing, and we can kind of learn from it and take inspiration from it without feeling that we've got to play it note for note exactly like Clapton. So let's get started. So this is an absolutely essential tune. Originally it was a Freddie King tune from I think 1960, and that tune is actually a kind of hodgepodge of various bits that I think he's borrowed from other sources. Then Clapton recorded it in 1966 on the Blues Breakers record with John Mayall. John Mayall actually died earlier this year, and he was a huge figure in British blues. Amongst other things, he was responsible for discovering a lot of great young talent, particularly guitar talent. So Eric Clapton, and then after him Peter Green and Mick Taylor as well. And I actually looked at the playing of Peter Green on The Stumble, which appears on the next Blues Breakers album, A Hard Road, and that was kind of his showcase, kind of show-off piece on that record. And I think Hideaway does a similar job on the first Blues Breakers record. It's kind of Clapton's chance to show off his virtuoso guitar skills. So let's get started. As I said, I'm going to take you through the main riffs and melodies, and then we'll skim through some of the soloing highlights. Let's get stuck into this properly then. It is a 12-bar blues in E, and the first 12-bar chorus, we're setting out the main melody, the main theme. It starts like this. We've got... and I'm playing this in the 9th position here, so the melody is really based on the E major pentatonic scale. This is a nice place to play the E major pentatonic scale. You've got this shape here, and we're just playing around on the middle two strings here. Really just that basic phrase and then some variations on that phrase. Timing is important here, so we're starting with some pickup notes. So the timing is 1, 2, 3, da 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 da. So we're kind of heading for that downbeat, the beat 1, but we're starting on I think the and of 3, 1 and 2 and 3, and then the band kicks in. So just be careful of the timing there, and then it just continues. Just extends the phrase. Then we've got this repeated, just a hammer on from 9 to 11 on the D, and then 9 on the G, and then back to the opening phrase. I've just got a little chordal interjection in the space there, so we're on the 1 chord at this point, so E7. You can play that 7, 6 and 7, starting on the 5th string, and we're just approaching that shape from 1 fret above. So, and then I think we're playing the next bit down in the open position. Now you can hear that the tone changes slightly there. I mean, you could play the same notes. Play the same notes down here, but just listening to the tone, it's kind of dark here, and it's a little bit bright here, so it sounds like Clapton is shifting position for the last phrase here, and he's playing it like this. So on the top 2 strings, then we're doing this repeated, ending with a little trill there. So open 3rd string and just hammering and pulling with your 1st finger at the 1st fret, and then something like that. So a classic little turnaround phrase at the end, just to take it back to the top. So if you learn nothing else, just learn that opening theme. This is quite doable. I think you can play this more or less note for note. So I'm just going to put all of that together for you now. So 1, 2, 3. Then we're into the next 12 bars, and Clapton is sticking down this end of the neck to start with, and we've got something like this. So playing in the open position here, just bending. This kind of minor to major 3rd idea. So open 3rd string is the minor 3rd. You can hammer on with your 1st finger to get the major 3rd. And then he goes into this kind of figure here. So we're up into this little double stop shape, so 4 on the G and 3 on the B, and really just going for it, just on that one note, or that pair of notes, and just repeating those notes, varying the rhythm a little bit. And yeah, I like the kind of the rawness of this. He's not playing loads of fancy licks all the way through this piece. Sometimes he's just finding a good note and sticking on it. You know, slightly longer than you'd expect him to stay on this pair of notes, but I just think it's quite an effective strategy when you're soloing, not to always have loads of dazzling licks, but to break it up with some more kind of primitive stuff. So I do really like this. He kind of comes out of that into the open position. I think there's then a kind of a sweeter major pentatonic phrase as well. This whole tune is a real masterclass in mixing major and minor pentatonics, which is something I've spoken about quite a lot on this channel. So we've seen how you can play the E major pentatonic here. You can also play it here in the 4th position. It's a really nice place to play it. So you've got these kind of ideas here. I suppose this is the BB box position. I've done a whole video on the BB box if you're not sure what that is, but in the key of E you've got this little shape here. So 6 on the G, and then 1 and 7 on the top 2 strings. There's loads of nice melodies and ideas you can get from those notes. And then this chorus ends with more just kind of milking that one note, that D note, just and then there's some kind of turnaround lick at the end. So I think I've just got it down here that I've written out. So we've got 3, 4. So loads of great turnaround licks in this piece. So if you need a few of those in your repertoire, then you can just go through and just steal a few of those, is what I would recommend. Next 12 bars, we've got this riff, which we're just taking through the 12 bar sequence. So starting on the E chord, on the 1 chord, got open 4, then over onto the next string. So 2, 5, 2, 4, 2, and then there's a quick hammer on from the open D to the 2nd fret. Repeat that. And then we just take it round the 12 bar form, so starting with the A string, same riff, back to the 1, and then we're going to the 5 chord to the B7. You can't use open strings here, so I'm kind of sliding up to the 6th fret and then back home. Next 12 bars then, and it's at this point that the intensity builds and he starts to really cut loose. It starts like this. So some double stops and things going on here. So most of this chorus is played in the 12th position here, so mostly E minor pentatonic, but there's some major stuff thrown in there as well. So just kind of classic kind of Chuck Berry-ish bending ideas. I really like this idea here. So his timing is really great in this tune. This is something you can learn from studying this piece. I think it's not just predictable kind of swung 8th notes or triplets. He's kind of coming in unexpected places. He's mixing in some other rhythms as well. So this lick here, he's coming in on the and of 1. It's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And there's a triplet, but then there's some 16th notes in there as well, which you might not always think to play in a kind of swung, shuffly blues, but sometimes playing those 16th notes and it goes against the groove of the track a little bit. It can be a really cool thing. So 3, 4, 1, and then ending on that major 3rd again, that nice minor to major move. We've got this idea. So I'm just finding this nice phrase and then developing it. Just these double stops at the 14th fret and the 12th fret. So finding an idea and then just repeating it. Just a really effective strategy. And then at the end of this chorus there's a great turnaround lick, which is eminently stealable, I think. Again, he's coming in on the and of 1, 3 and 4 and 1. And it's that great mix of major and minor. Lovely lick, that one. The next chorus kicks off with this great kind of stop time section. So great blues chord, this one. If you don't know this one, this is really nice 9th chord voicing. So starting at 12 on the D and then fret 11, 9 and then 12 on the top strings, playing a triplet rhythm here. So and then these descending 6ths, just the same shape. So 12 on the G and the high E, just taking that down the neck. So very much like the Stumble. I think Peter Green plays exactly the same kind of lick on the Stumble. I mean, it originally came from Freddie King, of course. Then we've got some more major pentatonic stuff. There's some nice licks played in this zone of the fretboard once again. So that major pentatonic thing. And then just repeating notes once again. So just moving these bent notes around, finding those kind of nice dissonant in-between notes. And I think this chorus ends with some kind of minor pentatonic stuff. So you can play E minor pentatonic in this kind of zone. Then for the next 12 bars we've got another nice little riff, which we're just taking around the 12 bar structure. So I think on the Freddie King recording it's a lot like the Peter Gunn theme. It's not quite so Peter Gunnish in this particular recording, but it's that kind of idea. So a low E, and then we're just playing at the second and fourth frets. Quite tough to play that up to speed if you're picking every note. I think sometimes I throw in a little hammer on. Just there. Take that round the blues. Now for the final two 12-bar choruses, we're kind of upping the intensity once again. We've got some double stops, we've got more notes coming in now. So it's an important lesson in how to build a track as well. It's a kind of 3-minute blues instrumental. You don't want to come out of the gate right away playing all of your flashiest licks. You kind of want to pace yourself a little bit, which is what Clapton does in this tune. But now we've got these kind of double stops, unison bends, more kind of minor pentatonic stuff in this zone of the neck. I really like this kind of idea that he gets into. Again, just playing one note but moving it around, finding those kind of dissonant, out of tune in between notes. So I'm playing here at the 13th fret on the 3rd string. So this is the major 3rd, but you can push that up towards the 4th a little bit. And then more mixing major and minor. I think he's ending with this, with more of a major pentatonic thing, so bending at the 14th fret. Next 12-bar chorus, I think we've actually got two more to go now, and again, really kind of nice, raw, intense lick here, just playing really an E chord here, or the top part of an E bar chord. I'm hearing it like that, 14, 13, 12 and 12, and just playing the triplets there. So really raw, and that's one of the things I like about the Blues Breakers record. It's probably my favourite period for Clapton, just because it is a really heavy, really raw kind of a record. And I really like the way this chorus ends. There's a great 5-chord lick here, which I think is something like this. I'm just going to have to read this, but lovely lick, that one. So that's played over the B7 chord, and then it continues. And a lovely turnaround lick there as well, which I might well steal for myself. And then for the last 12 bars, he's returning to the main melody, the main theme, but it's played a little bit more busily. It's played in a higher octave, so again, just adding to the intensity of the tune. So playing the melody up here at the 12th and 14th frets on the top 2 strings. There's more kind of minor pentatonic stuff here. We've got some more great minor to major pentatonic kind of ideas, so I think it ends like that. And with that same move we had earlier, F7 going down 1 fret to E7. And that's about it. So obviously lots of notes, lots of ideas flying around here, but I hope you're starting to see how much good stuff there is in this tune. There's so much usable and stealable stuff in there, but don't get overwhelmed with it. There might just be 1 or 2 licks that you can take from this and then work them into your own playing, and I think that will be a really valuable thing to try and do. What gear am I using today, you ask? Now, the tone that Clapton got on the original record is absolutely legendary. There's lots of stuff been written about it, lots of kind of mythology and all kinds of stuff, so I'm not going to go into all of that now, but I think it's safe to say that he used a Les Paul, possibly a 1960 Les Paul, into a Marshall. It's the Marshall combo that you can see in the pictures on the sleeve of the album, and I'm trying to get reasonably close to that sound with the gear that I've got at my disposal. Fortunately, I've got some gear which is quite appropriate for this. I think I've got my Les Paul here. This is a 59 reissue, and today I'm plugged into the Marshall that you can see behind me. This is the Studio Vintage Marshall, so it's based on a Marshall Plexi, but it's lower wattage. I think it's 20 watts, this particular Marshall, so not exactly like the combo that Clapton was plugged into, but I think it's got a similar kind of vibe. I'm not actually sure in terms of the amp itself, the valves and the circuits, all of that stuff. I know next to nothing about that kind of thing, so how close that is to the Blues Breaker combo, I'm not sure, but it certainly sounds quite close to my ear. So that's really it. I'm just plugged straight into the Marshall bridge pickup, not using any pedals. I think there's some debate over whether Clapton used a pedal, perhaps some kind of treble booster pedal on the original sessions, but I think he claims that he didn't use any pedals, and that sounds like this. So I'm pretty happy with that sound. Is it identical to the recording? No, it's not, but I think it sounds pretty close. And I suppose one of the things about the tone on the record, one of the things that I like about it, which is perhaps not spoken about, it's really more than just the guitar and the amp combination. It's about the way it was recorded, the room and the way it was mic'd up. It's quite a roomy sound, and the story goes that Clapton turned up the amp really loud, much to the annoyance of the kind of white coated, lab coated kind of studio assistants, and that meant that the guitar sound got over the mics for the other instruments, so over the mics for the drums, for example. So it's a combination of all of those factors that make for this final sound, I think. And there we are. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you would like to see more blues stuff, let me know what you'd like to see. I could do some more Clapton or anything you like, really. Maybe I could look at some Mick Taylor. I don't think I've looked at any of his stuff up to this point on this channel. If you would like tab and a backing track, of course, that's going to be up on the Patreon page. I've tabbed out the entire tune, which took me absolutely ages. So if you'd like to get your hands on that, then you can sign up on the Patreon page. Pay what you like, get access to that. Thanks very much for watching. See you next time.